for so many years. He told us in 2010 that Black America will become an underclass in every area. And he hit it right on the head. And everybody keep calling now saying, Dr. Anderson must be a prophet. I say, I don't know. He sure hit it on the head. That's all I can tell you. But we need to look at what we're going to talk about today. It's what Black America must know and must have to reap any kind of benefit from the political system other than the joy of being able to cast their votes. Because it seems as if we're just satisfied with casting our votes and not reaping any benefit. And, as I said, Dr. Anderson had warned us. But what I want to say to those who are listening, one day, we're going to have to give an account to our children. They will one day ask the question, what happened? We would tell them that we built a pyramid. We're going to tell them about all of that. And when we finish explaining history and what we invented, and we were kings and queens in Africa, our little baby's going to look up and ask the same question. Mama, Daddy, what happened? And what are you going to tell the babies? That becomes a question. So I was speaking with Dr. Anderson, and we were talking about benefits. And Dr. Anderson, you said something that was so powerful. And I want you to share with the audience. You were saying even if those in the political status wish to fund something to us, wanted to do something for Black America, they would have no place to even, we're not in position to reap political benefits. You want to expound on that, Dr. Anderson? Because that just been on my mind ever since we had that conversation.
Well, thank you, Rose, and you're absolutely right on target by raising that question again. What our people don't understand, and it's beyond me why they don't, because I know it personally, I don't know how many other people, I've been preaching this now for 40-some years, and I've grown sick and tired of saying the same thing over and over and over again. I don't know whether it goes in our people's head and come out the other ear, or just hits the head and bounce off. But it's absolutely impossible. It's impossible in theory and practice for you to survive and prosper in a country where you're not playing by the rules. You live in a capitalistic society. Let me say that again. You live in a capitalistic society. And you know what capitalism is? Capitalism came into existence in the 1500s when slavery started in Europe, when the Portuguese began it. And they began to start selling and marketing slaves that they picked up off the coast of Africa. And they began to pick them up, paying about $25 to $30 a piece to the Arabs to grab them, chain them, bring them to the shoreline, and boat them for them. $25 to $30 a piece. And they set up a system saying, in capitalism, we expect to get at least about a 1,500% return on our investment. And what they are saying is that now we take these individuals and take them and ship them all around the world and get a capital gains on them. And capitalism then came into concept of saying that what you do now under capitalism, because prior to that time, the thing was called mercantilism. They said we'll switch to capitalism. Capitalism means owning the land, the tools, and equipment, and then being able to take other people's labor and use it to create power, wealth, and income for yourself. That's what capitalism is. Again, taking land, tools, and equipment, and owning and controlling that, then using it and other people's labor to produce wealth and power and resources and money and income. That's how simple it is. Now, W.B. Du Bois defined it another way in 1915. He said that basically capitalism is like having 4 ears of corn. Back in 1915, it's like you get 4 ears of corn. You take that corn and you produce that corn. You produce products out of it. Point one. 2, you take that ear of corn and you sell. 3, you take that ear of corn and you save money and resources. 4, you take that ear of corn and you then eat and save the seeds for next year's harvest so you can start the whole planting system over again. It's called eat, saving, and selling. Now, no place, whether you use the Portuguese definition of capitalism that came into existence in the 1500s, or use Du Bois' explanation of it in 1915. It says the same thing, that you must learn how to own and control resources and use them to engender wealth and power by using other people's labor. What we have never seemed to understood is that we've been practicing socialism. We're the only group in this country that keeps trying to practice socialism rather than capitalism. Consequently, that leaves us vulnerable. We're vulnerable. All we do, we own and control absolutely nothing. And the little bit we do have comes at 1/2 of 1%. We don't own and control anything. and you ask yourself, name me any blacks in the country in a large, significant number. Where are they producing? What are they producing? What are they selling? What are they saving? Absolutely nothing. That means we are absolutely expendable. And there are large groups, conservative groups, not only in this country, around the world, that because we have an overabundance of population, they plan to start exterminating people pretty soon through geometrical programming. And they're going to get wiped out by a whole bunch of factors, like one is technology. They call it techno-economics. Then another one is going to be immigration, where they're going to bury you alive in these urban cities because you don't own and produce a darn thing. You're totally dependent upon other people to feed and clothe you every day. Every black in America right now, with few rare exceptions, is totally dependent on the people they're competing with to feed and clothe them and keep them warm. We don't produce the four key things that we should be controlling and owning in significant proportion to our own representation of the population. We should be learning, earning, and controlling energy, 1, 2, food, 3, water, and 4, medical and medicine. We don't do any of those things. All we're doing is shucking and jiving and running with a ball, football, basketball, tennis ball, golf ball, singing, dancing, jokes, standing on the stage playing like we're having a ball. We are an expendable people. We're exposed, and we're going to perish for it. I've told blacks that in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to lose about somewhere around a third to a half of all the black people in the world are going to die. You're going to perish. You're going to perish for lack of food, medicine, energy, and resources. And natural disaster, a man-made disaster, is going to wipe you out. And we lose approximately 287,000 black people die every darn year, annually, every month in Africa alone. Wow. And the program they have around the world right now under these various kinds of programs is that they want most of the blacks in Africa to die from starvation. In this country, the same thing will come. You cannot get black folks to understand you must be independent and self-sufficient. And go find me some black folks that are struggling to be independent and own and control resources. Show them to me, Rosie. You and I have tried and tried. They're having fun. Go watch the newspapers every day. Go watch the television. They're having a ball, talking about, bragging about who can run with a ball, who can play, who's the lead catcher in a football team, baseball, basketball. Look at them on the stage dancing and singing and joking. They don't take a darn thing serious.
But you know what, Dr. Ann, is interesting because you see black people, they're always talking about the white man this, the white man that, and now they're talking about the Latinos. But what they're not understanding is that you're talking about the people that you're depending on for water, that you're depending on for the hospital. You know, we really better rethink. You know, either we're going to do the work to pull up or we need to just shut up. Because this is crazy. It's like somebody talking about me day and night, and then you come and say, well, my kid needs some shoes, or I need a place to stay. That's insane. People have to think, you know, this is just, it's mind-boggling to me to look at the position. But you projected it. You told us over 20-some years ago. You told us here in L.A., get in the water business. People laughed. Now everybody's buying water, and all these water dispensaries that you see here, none of them, Keith, I haven't seen any that's owned by African Americans. Have you?
No. I mean, I think I might have saw 1 or 2 maybe 15 years ago when Dr. Claud first mentioned it, but since then, no. It's white, Asian, and Hispanic. Right.
See, right now, approximately 15 to 20% of all the people on this earth, 15 to 20% of all the people on this earth, that includes Africa, Europe, actually I have to exclude Africa, it's even worse, but across Europe and Latin America, 15 to 20% right now suffering from acute water shortages. They're having conferences, regional conferences, international conferences, trying to plan where the water can come from.
Right.
As I indicated in one article I put out in one of our newsletters, telling that water shortage is going to come to the western part of the United States.
You did that about 2 years ago. I still have that newsletter.
Right. And that you got water shortages coming, and you're going to have it, and those water shortages coming, somebody's going to start dying of thirst. And right now, if you look at the price of water. You go buy a small pint of water any place, in a hotel, airline, any place, you might be paying 4 to 5 times for a darn bottle of water you pay for gasoline.
Right. Wow.
You go out and buy half a pint of water or something like that. It might cost you $1.19. Yeah. You forget how many pints are in a darn gallon, and see what you're paying for it.
Well, the real thing about it, if there ever come a shortage, Keith and Dr. End of anything, we're going to be the last one to get it because we have less funds to
Yeah.
pay for it. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, if we just put that together, it would help us see the devastating situation that we're in. A
Yeah.
lot of black people dying every day. With me being in the medical field, I see there are a lot of people. What stand between them and life is maybe $1,000.
Well, you know,
Where are your hospitals, Rosie?
yeah,
You got 40 million black folk in the United States. Where are your hospitals for black folk?
I
they're in the
know.
white areas.
I
They're
know.
in the white areas. But
That
the
that's
research I did is on China. 51% of China's water is polluted.
That's right.
51% of China's water is polluted, and they have to move those people. And the thing is, when you transfer, water is not just transferred through just water itself by moving water, but also through food, because the majority of your water is used to grow food. And China raids Africa and Latin America every day for food. So that's just like transferring water also. Because
Right,
exactly.
but
That's
and all those vegetables you got coming in across the border every day with those vegetables and fruit, particularly fruits that have high water content in them. They're bringing in various kinds of germs from where they were raised. And
exactly. Dr. Anthony, hold your thought for a second. Let's take a caller. Go ahead, caller. Tell us where you're calling from and your question.
Greetings. My name is Keith Iwadu, calling from Los Angeles. How are you all today?
Hi, Kitty. Good to hear from you.
What a joy, what a joy. And greetings to Dr. Anderson. Always great to hear you in our presence. On average, America spends per capita $9,450 per person on maintaining one of the worst healthcare systems in the developed countries. This for African American people would amount to some $360 billion per year, proportionately distributed. I have for years, and I hope that Dr. Rosie and Keith can attest to it, been working on functional, practical programs to recapture as much of this money as possible. I have a program called Living Superfood, which absolutely, undeniably, I know it works. Dr. Anderson, when you were last in Los Angeles, I gave you a whole portfolio talking about this work, yet never did hear a word in response back from you. What can we practically do to recapture as much money as we can back from the United States healthcare system?
I don't know how to relate to that specifically with the healthcare system, unfortunately. But so let me speak in very broad and generic terms. One of the first things we should do is understand what money we have available. And you always start where you are. Right now, we typically have about a gross annual disposable income of somewhere a little less than $1 trillion. And I hear black people bragging always about how much money we got. And I hear black public relations firms bragging about how much money we got to white corporations. That's a silly, asinine position to take. Because that money at less than $1 trillion is totally, absolutely useless as long as it's de-aggregated all over America. It has no power and impact. Because if I were to divide that money by about 40 million black folk, it comes out to be chicken change and almost poverty level money. The reason it has no impact and significance is for the mere fact that we are not aggregating it and pooling it. We do not practice group economics and group politics. If we were pooling our money, then it would have some power and substance to it. If we were aggregating and spending, buying it, spending based on group economics, which means your money ought to bounce, stay within the hands of your own people at least 8 to 12 times. Hispanics understand this, and some of them have less education. Most of them have less education than blacks in this country. They understand. So what they do, they build their communities. Their money bounces 6 to 7 times before it leaves a Hispanic hand. They don't rush to no black stores, black business, and buy anything.
But Dr.
White money
Anderson,
bounces 8 to 12 times.
the key people that they follow is teaching them to do that. They're getting
That's
that
right.
information probably from their churches, their politicians, telling them what to do. But Keith, one of the things that you're talking about when Dr. Anderson talked about the amount of black people who are going to perish, and a lot of it because of self-inflicted diseases,
Right,
because we
exactly.
keep running up into these stores, buying this, rotten, no good food, don't have sense enough to go back to how we were better off. People think, and they left Mississippi, they were able to eat all the filet mignon. When they were in the South, they had all these gardens, they had all their vegetables, and meat was something that may had just on Sunday. Well, we want to be so much like other people. Whatever they eat, whatever their style, that's what we want. You can almost say at least 30%, almost 50% of the illnesses and death that's caused It's really by what we eat, Keith. It's self-inflicted disease, self-inflicted disorders, whether it's drugs, whether it's poverty. I consider that self-inflicted too, because you allow your businesses to go out because you want to support them. And the thing that, like I say, our children are going to ask us. They can't relate to the pyramids. We stand up in the front of them talking about we black, we built the pyramid. We were the first successful open heart surgeon. We were kings and queens in our country. And they looking at you like, what happened?
Right.
They don't want to hear all that stuff. They want to know, how can you transition that? Well, how do we get into this shit? And the average person cannot tell them.
Well, see, and Rose, I hate to say this to you, but tonight the sound better than me. It's almost too late for our people. We locked into an underclass structure now. We got maybe just a slight glimmer of light coming through and cracking the door. And if we don't get out of it the next couple of years, you can hang it up. Forget about telling blacks to do anything. I just got back from Detroit. I told Detroit the same thing when I wrote a plan for the city of Detroit. I told them all the things that were going to happen to them. And I identified 25 things that whites are going to privatize, use the concepts of privatization, gentrification, regional forms of government, metropolitan forms of government, and cool city philosophies that come in and take everything out of, strip all these major urban black areas where black folk are the dominant population, strip every asset away from them. And then Detroit, Michigan, where you had a 90% black population, they came in and stripped everything of value and privatized into the hands of the whites in the suburbs, and now whites are coming back in and regentrifying the urban cities, while black folk are passing them, going in the opposite direction, trying to move to the suburbs. And then, as I prophesied 20 years ago, your next ghettos won't be in the inner cities. Your ghettos are going to be in the suburbs around these major cities.
Exactly. That's what's happening in Los Angeles.
Keith,
exactly
you have another thought you want to make, Keith?
I think Kitty. Yes, go ahead, Kitty.
Oh, I would just leave with this point. After having, spent many, many years examining issues related to health, economics, media, etc., I have pulled into this cul-de-sac called food, nutrition, food sustenance, and the health that will follow, because I've become absolutely convinced that, and Dr. Rose, it is, I believe, 95% of all chronic disease is related to controllable factors, of which nutrition is the primary. I'm absolutely convinced that this is one place where we can get a good share of that anticipated $1 trillion in the wellness revolution that Paul Zane Pilzer predicted in his book. And so for those who are more interested in it, I'm sure Brother Keith can keep them in contact with him, myself. And Dr. Rosie, I look forward to working closely with you. I think Living Superfood would be a great addition to all of the great work that you're doing. Greetings to you all. Greetings to you, Dr.
Keith, give us your telephone number before you part.
Okay, a good way to reach me is area code 323-902-2919. And people do know I prepare meals for people who are undergoing some sort of diagnoses. And it's just a miracle what the food is able to do.
Okay, I'm going to give you a call, too, okay?
Greetings to you, beloved.
Okay, those who want to call, the number 310-928-7733. I think we have another caller.
Caller, you're going to have to turn down your speakers.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
Oh, hi. My name is Leatrice Tanner Brown, and I am so grateful to hear Dr. Anderson on this morning, and I'm so grateful to hear Dr. Milligan. Thank you for inviting him. There is something that Dr. Anderson has been working on, and I hope he will talk about it, the case for freedmen, slaves of Indians. And I recently just got back from Oklahoma trying to do what little I could do to assist. Our family is very, very supportive of what Dr. Anderson is doing. And Dr. Milligan, we spend money with other black people, and we're very, very hopeful that there will be some justice done for the freedmen and black Indians in the United States. And I just want to thank Dr. Anderson for everything he's done and for everything Dr. Milligan is doing. And we hope we can get you out here, Dr. Anderson, soon to shed some information with the people here in California.
Okay,
and that was my comment.
Don't hang up. You're absolutely right. I was going to talk about that because Dr. Anderson mentioned that we are so far down in the ditch. And I contend that unless we get paid
Right.
from the debts that owe to us. He's absolutely right. It's no way for us to come out of this situation on our own, particularly now when jobs are being shipped overseas, when we're the lowest in population. Other people who own businesses, they're going to hire their own. Just here
Right.
in LA 3 weeks ago, Leanne, that the Korean and Latinos had a partnership breakfast where the mayor of
Mm.
the city talked about telling the Hispanics, Latinos to learn Korean, Korean learn Spanish, and they were saying that Hispanics own 94,000 businesses in the county of LA. Unless we get paid money from reparation, all of these are reparation of black farmers, the Freedmen Act, until if we never came together, we better come together now because we are out of here if they don't pay
Right.
us what they owe. It's no way for us to come up. So we will be bringing Dr. Anderson here real soon. I want to say that to you, Leah, and we'll get together, okay?
Thank you so much, Dr. Milligan. And again, Dr. Anderson, thank you for everything. It's good to talk to you, and tell your wife, Joanne, we said hello, and we send our love, too.
Well, thank you, and let me compliment you, because the information that Ms. Leatrice Brown has provided to us for in our various lawsuits, we have 4 lawsuits outstanding now in 4 different courts in the United States. We are now in the Supreme Court. We're also in the Federal Claims Court. We're in the Sixth Circuit courts, and we're also in the Appeals Court. And to a substantial degree, we've only been able to do that successfully as a direct result of Ms. Brown and providing us with the kind of information you need. Even there are a lot of other people out there, a few other people, at least 1 or 2 other groups have been talking about the black freedmen, the black Indian issue, but they're talking about it from a different, absolutely different perspective than what we do for the Harvest Institute. They just want to simply try to get some kind of a membership card that proves that they are not blacks. Right. And by laying some kind of claim to Indian blood as if it's precious blood like Jesus Christ's blood, so therefore they are better than black folk, or they're different from black folk. That's not what the Harvest Institute lawsuits are about. And ours is about specifically regaining all the benefits that these blacks were entitled to, and the black freemen were entitled to, and the black Indians were entitled to for the last 140 years. And we needed some very specific examples beyond the very broad issues we were pushing. And Ms. Brown has been able to give us some very specific, detailed information that takes it all the way back. So we got now a very substantial case to show how systematically for 140 years the American Indians, as well as the federal government, has intentionally deprived black folk of billions of dollars in resources in terms of land, money, money from the Federal Indian Bureau, and casino operations, and contracts, and opportunities, and gold, and silver, and chrome, and bauxite, and timbers off the reservations, all these kind of things. And so we're pressing very hard, and I thank her for it. And without her, we couldn't have done it.
Exactly.
Dr. Anderson,
go ahead.
I just want to make one more remark. I have met some other freedmen in Oklahoma while I was there, and they are, of course, fighting for citizenship. And the purpose of that fight is to attain some of the assets that it will yield. As you well know, for example, medical benefits and schooling and education, a lot of different things like that. And they're a real good group of people who are, really on this battle, in this fight for what is owed them rightfully because of their birthright. And I don't know if it's necessarily what is the other reason, but I do know that we're kind of walking side by side, trying to say, give us the assets that are ours because of our birthright, period. That's it.
That's right. Always go for the substance rather than the symbolism. And see, that's a cardinal political strategy that's been used systematically for a couple of 100 years on black folks. It's always drive black folk towards symbolism, to appreciate and enjoy and indulge in and involved in wheel-spinning, non-frictional kind of symbolic issues, and stay away from the substantive issues. But with the Harvest Institute, we're going after substance. We want things that we can see, feel, touch, and smell, and put our hands on, and go to the store and buy land, resources, tools, and equipment. Be capitalists.
Can pass down to your next generation.
That's right.
We're going to take a call, and then we'll come back, Dr. Anderson. I want you to explain to everybody. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, Brown, Ms. Leah Brown.
Right. Then we'll come back and tell the people how they can benefit. What we should be getting from the treaty. Go ahead, caller. Give us your name and tell us where you're calling from. Go ahead, caller. Okay, caller, you're on the air.
Okay, hung up.
Okay. Dr. Anderson, what are some of the benefits what are some of the benefits from what we're fighting for the freedmen and black Indians? What
Right.
just name a few things so people understand why this fight is important. Again, I want to thank you and the Harvest Institute and the Freedmen Foundation, because all of this is do us is just lying in waste unless we wake it up and fight for it. It's been ours all the time, but we haven't had enough people to fight, and our political leaders haven't addressed it at all. And that's why other people have been ignoring us, because they say if your leaders not fighting for it, I mean, who are you?
Right. Well, see, our leaders are running over each other, trying to, when they see us coming, running, hiding in the bathroom, behind trees, under in the closet, trying to make sure they don't make any identifying gestures towards black folks. They don't want to have anything to do with black people. So.
And if I may interject, they're not our leaders; they're our representatives, and we need to treat them like that. And that's what black folks don't do. The white folks and all the other people do. They don't treat them like leaders. They treat them like representatives that are working for us. We don't do that.
Well, you're absolutely right.
That's right, Keith. That is a good point.
That's why they call them representatives.
They work for us. They act like we're working for them, but we're working for them, and they're not working for us. Something wrong with that picture.
Well, and that comes from very simple things. Because we lack an economy, we have no ability to either reward and recognize them or punish them for having sold and abandoned us. You can't do it without an economy to do it. But let's go back and talk about the treaties. See, what most blacks, not most, I would say about 99 and 79% blacks don't understand that Indians never were their friends. That Indians started in the 1500s, sided with the white power structure, and got paid for helping them to establish and promote and maintain a slavery system in this country. They got benefits, like they got medicine, clothing, and money and everything else to chase down black slaves and bring them back to the master. He got paid on average $20-$25. That's held true from the 1500s up until after the Civil War, where you still with the Choctaw and Chickasaw Indians were still holding blacks as slaves. Indians held as many slaves proportionally as comparatively as whites did, and they refused even after the Civil War to release them. And the government sent in the military contingency to say you have now signed with the South. And because all those 5 civilized tribes, why they call them civilized, for they own slaves, they signed agreements with the South to fight with the South to maintain slavery in this country.
Wow.
And when the South lost the war, the United States government said, "See, now you Indians don't own Indian territory anymore, because you took up arms against the United States. So all previous treaties are now null and void. But we will give you amnesty. What we'll do now is that we'll come into your territory and meet with all you various Indian tribes, and we want you to sign these treaties." That's the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Cherokee, Seminole, and the Creek Indians. We want you to sign these treaties, and here's what you have to do. One, first of all, you have to release all your slaves that you all are holding now, and that's the first thing. Secondly, that you must give all the previous blacks who've lived in the territory up to this point, as well as the black Indians, you must then give them opportunities they wanted to be a part of the tribe. 3, they must have a chance to vote on any issue forever pertaining to Indians affairs. 4, that you must give them $150 each, and we're going to give you $150,000 to split up with them, which they never got. Blacks never got. 6, that you must give them 160 acres of land. 7, you must give them access to any resources on an Indian reservation forever, whether it's gold, silver, timber, or whatever it is. 8, you must also allow them to be classified as tax exempt, so they don't pay. Neither they nor their offsprings or future generations will have to pay taxes. 9, they can go to any school in the United States, college, and whatever it is, and never pay any tuition. 10, that they will have access to any resources that we send to the reservation from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. and 11, that they could go pick up contracts and licenses for running everything from electric grid stations to TV to radio to cable system without having to compete for them and pay for them.
Wow.
And 12, they could also set up casinos any place in the United States just like you can.
Wow.
In present day terms. Those are the benefits, and what all these black freedmen that I've been dealing with, we've identified black freedmen and black Indians about their children who are entitled to all these benefits. We might have a couple of 100,000. They then would serve as a spear point to help set up all these things and get access to these resources, so all the other blacks in the country can come in, join in with them, and begin to build some resources for themselves, can get land, and started building some decent housing, some factories, some industries. They could have some access to resources like gas, oil, and timber rights. Just
So
like
this is
Leatrice Brown, who just got off the phone, her family, the land they took from her grandfather, that about 2 or 3 oil companies are still owning that land that they have and pulling out billions of dollars in oil and gas leases. And her family's got nothing. We got blacks all over the country who had the land taken from them. And so what I'm saying to you, there are all kind of benefits that blacks could benefit from as a group by mounting behind and pushing and donating and contributing some money to pay our legal fees to fight these battles in these courts. But they're so busy running, spending their money dancing and singing, going to football, basketball games, and going to TV and movie shows. They ain't going to do a darn thing to help blacks pay for these costs. I've been paying it, most of it out of my own pocket.
Dr. Anderson. You know, you had said that California has been a real strong part of helping to support the Harvest Institute.
That's
and I
right.
know a few of the ministers here. I know Pastor Fred Price have always, every month that you said, supported your organization. I think Bishop Frank Stewart and some other people. Dr. Anderson, why don't you go and get you some water, and we'll come back.
I got a glass of water right now. Go ahead, baby.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Okay.
I was going to say that, you know, what you just said, Dr. Anderson, I don't know if you have another book in you, but what you're talking about, the relationship between black folks, black slaves and Indians is worth another book by itself.
Right, and see, and where Fred Price and his church has been consistent contributors for the Harvest Institute, I guess, for at least 15 or 17 years. And in addition to that, probably about a third of all the resources in terms of financial resources and support we've gotten for our think tank for the last almost 20 years has come directly from California. The rest of the blacks and outside of California, we got a few supporters, but they don't even understand the issues. And we're always appreciative of California because California has some of the most sharpest, most conscious blacks I know of in the country. I've gone to every state conducting seminars and presentations for black ministers, trying to get them to understand the issues, and picked up their travel for themselves and their wife, picked up their hotel costs, their feed costs, and brought them to the seminars, and sometimes 8, 9 at a time in cities like New Orleans and Cleveland and Memphis. And they still don't get it, and they want to talk about everything just like your civil rights groups and your blacks and elected officials. They don't care about this issue one bit.
But Dr. Anderson, this is the only hope for Black America is to get paid on the debt that's owed to us. It's like when all the land is gone. Say we stand around and everybody buying up the land. We come up later and we say, well, blacks need to own some of the land. You can't make the other people sell their land to you. We need to, and unless something is undergirded and the legal fight, because we wouldn't have been this far, because we're in the Supreme Court right now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, but
it took money to get there. My point is, if you are not taking your money and people out here and other people who put money with it, we wouldn't have gotten this far. That situation, Keith, would have been done and over with and would have been history. But right now, it's a real big issue because of the Harvest Institute and the Freedman Foundation going this far. It held up that money that the Obama administration had allocated for those 5 civilized tribes, which was $1.25 billion, wasn't it?
No. Up to this point, for the last 4 years, they've gotten almost $13 billion.
Wow!
And we just got them jammed up on the last $3.5 billion. Wow. And
right.
Our lawsuit, we got them jammed because right now they got to go back and do something for these black freedmen and black Indians.
And so now it's holding up a lot of money, for attorneys and other people. But my point is, folks, it doesn't take a whole lot of your money, but if everybody would give a little to help support this and tell your friends to help support it. We just only want to put our money in a political arena, but we're going to perish if we don't get this money. The other forms of reparation due us. When you look at other people and you brag about how much better they're doing than we are, but you never look at the fact, the help that they got from our own government. Folks, something is wrong with this.
Right, but Rosie, even more importantly, because you're right on target, but let's accentuate it a little higher. And as we start talking about reparations, 90% of our people are engaged in any kind of reparational activities or reparations adventures. They are pushing it. It's pretty much calculated based on moral or consciousness or guilt that whites should be feeling, and obligation they should be feeling in response to how they've treated, maltreated, and exploited, misused, and abused black folk over 500 years. I understand that. But in this particular instance, with the 1866 Indian Treaty and how it pertains to black Indians and black freemen, that has nothing to do with moralness, consciousness, and anything else or guilt. It has to do with the law. All we are asking the society to do, and especially the federal government, is to enforce the law fairly and equally. You got to cease and desist. You've been given these Indians, white Indians, because see, about 90% of all the people calling themselves Indians today are not Indians. Those are whites who are passing for Indians, who got on the rolls in the 1890s, what they call $5 Indians, by going down to the Dawes Commission and giving them $5 to put their name on the list as an Indian. And so whites have been getting all these benefits for claiming they got Indian blood in. When they don't, they pay their great-parent, grandparents, or somebody else paid $5 and put them on there. They're getting benefits. And so what I'm saying to you is that this treaty is the only instance in history in 500 years where laws very specifically says what black people are entitled to. The law did not say minority. It did not say people of color. It did not say multicultural diversity. It didn't say poor people. It said black people, that black Indians and black freemen were entitled and mandated, that the government and the Indian tribes are mandated to carry out this and to treat these people equally in all respects, of whatever white Indians or so-called native Indians, whatever they get forever, these black people and these black Indians and black freemen entitled to the same benefits.
Okay, Doctor, and to hold your point, we have a caller. Go ahead, caller. We have 2 callers on hold.
Hello, Rosie. This is Diane and Doctor. I just want to ask you and Dr. Claud Anderson. I have been playing your one of your speeches on some of my social networks, but one thing that I did, I guess I did it wrong because I joined the Indian Trust. I went that route, and I understand that the Indians turned down their the offer that the government offered them because they want more. And my grandmother lived outside of the Shawnee, which is the off the reservation of the Cherokee Indians in South Carolina. So I joined the Indian Trust. I signed up for that.
So now, Diane, what is your question? Get to your question so he can answer you. It's only because we have about 20 minutes and we have 3 calls back.
Okay. I was wondering, should I go ahead and join his as well, or what should I do?
Dr. Anderson?
Hello. So I'm not quite sure what you're speaking in reference to, because I know there are some other groups that are pushing. But our thing is not, we're not trying to piggyback off or do anything that the white Indians are doing, and because we want our separate and equal. And that's the biggest thing we're pushing. I treat black folks just like like the Hispanics. When they go into a meeting, they'll tell everybody at the meeting, don't call us a minority. We are Hispanics. Whatever you got on this table, you cut our piece out, and we'll walk out the door with our piece. I'm saying the same thing for black folks. I'm not trying to hook up with what white Indians or anybody else is doing.
No, I'm black.
No.
I know.
I think what Diane is saying, is this an organization that she can join, being the descendant of Indian or black Indian descent?
Which organization? That's what I can't figure out. Which organization you're referring to?
She's talking about the Harvest Institute.
Harvest. Yeah. We'd be glad to be a part of ours. Yes, we'd be glad to have her. See, as I was saying, I didn't know about the other organization. That's why I didn't want to answer that.
So
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I didn't want to sure what organization we're talking about. Yes, we need every black, anyone that has in particular those on the Dawes rolls or those who simply want to support the effort on practicing group economics and group politics to get benefits for our group. We need you. We need your documentation for our claims, and we also need any kind of financial support our people can bring to the table.
Dr. Anderson, can you give out a number that someone may call you?
Yeah. Okay. And let's give out
or email.
Okay. They can go to the harvestinstitute.org and make a contribution through PayPal there. That's Harvest Institute, HARVEST Institute.org.
And there you'll find the email address too that you can correspond with the Harvest Institute.
Right. And also let me give you you can call our corporate office for the power numbers. We'll help you if you miss getting it through the Harvest Institute number. You can call 301-564-6075. Again, 564-6075. That area code's 301.
Okay,
Okay,
Diane.
I got it.
Thank you for
Thank
listening.
you.
Okay.
Thank you, and we need you.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead. We
Thanks.
have another caller. Go ahead,
Good
caller.
morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Ron Tanner from Kingman, Arizona. And one of the questions that I have, or statements I have, is that the black politicians don't seem like they're doing much to help in our cause. We visited them. We've written them letters, called them, tried to bombard them, yet still they're totally irresponsive to what we're doing. Dr. Anna, what else do you suggest we might do to try to make them move off the dime?
Well, the biggest thing is get as much publicity as you can. Use any form of media, whether it's the internet, newspapers, electronically, through the television, radio. Contact any source you can, any organizations you can, to get them to start dramatizing our plight and dramatizing our needs, and start putting pressure on these politicians and anybody. And remember the premise of Powernomics. Anybody who won't support you, don't you support them. Never, never, never support anybody, anything that won't support black people. You support your issues. And try to, if you can, run them out of office.
Now,
or exonerate from the race.
Sure.
Arizona,
Okay,
you heard what he said? Run them out of office. They're not doing us any good. Why are we so happy to have somebody sitting up there because they look like us, but yet they are supporting everybody else? And that's what a lot of the black politicians are doing now, because they are afraid. They say, well, we're outnumbered, so we need to court the Latinos. We need to court the other people. They're worried about position. They're not worried about us. And when they come out of office, they still have a retirement. And the average black person out here who worked on jobs, and get older, many of them, I'm telling you, they don't even have $1,000 a month coming in Social Security, and these crooks are retiring with all types of money and benefit. So it's time for us to say enough is enough.
Right, you got to start demanding. And anybody that runs for an office, anybody that runs for a public office, especially black, up front before you get one vote, you're gonna have to earn my support and earn my vote. I don't give any free, gratuitous votes out. You're gonna have to earn my vote. And you I'm saying you. Go ahead, Rosie.
And when they come to your church during the election, you all need to get up with some sticks and baseball bats and run their butts out of them.
And tell all those blacks, let me tell you one thing. See, that you can read this in Black Labor, White Wealth. I did a study once, and I found out in 1960 when they only had 103 elected black officials in the United States in 1960. I did an analysis of the social discomfort indicators in this country. This covers things like unemployment, food stamps, welfare, imprisonment, dysfunctional families, and all this kind of stuff. Then I waited 30 years and did the same analysis in 1990. Why? Because in 1990, the number of black elected officials in the United States had gone from 103 to over 9,000. That was a 9,000% increase. Then I looked at the social discomfort indicators to see what did that massive 9,000% increase in elected officials, black elected officials, what did it do for black folk? I looked at the data. Not only didn't black folk progress, they went backwards, because there's no direct relationship between putting a black person in office and getting benefits. Because every black person that runs for an office, he always wants to run to represent everybody but his own people. He'll brag about, I represent all the people. When Strong Thurman and Orrin Hatch and the Tea Party people come to Washington, they ain't come here to represent everybody. They come here to represent their constituents. And in this issue with the black freedmen and black Indians, the only congressional black support we've gotten to date in 7-8 years, just walking the halls of Congress, is from Maxine Waters out there. That only one out of all these black elected officials. They don't do a darn thing. I got more support from white elected officials, from Congressman Cohen down in Memphis. He's a white guy, or Holloman over in West Virginia. He's white. He said, Dr. Anderson, you're absolutely right, but we don't understand why your own black elected officials won't do a damn thing to help you all.
Dr. Anderson, now that you own that thought, I'm coming back to what we were talking about for the beginning of this show. remember what you said to me. If we don't have anything in place, even if you get somebody politically in, what can they fund down to you? If you have no organization, say if I wanted to open up a something for people who are coming out of prison, help them get jobs, I'd set up something, and then maybe one of my constituents can say, okay, we have funds over here that we can help you. But if we don't have anything, a channel where something can be channeled down to us, we're not seeing this. How can they help us if we don't get up and unite and stand together and put something in place? Because I'm concerned right now that we need to have national collaboration right now, because we're going to get some money. We're going to keep fighting. I may not see it. My kids, somebody's going to see it. But we want to make sure when it's in place, do we have something in place, Dr. Anderson, to empower Black folks where they can get out of the ditch? I'm not talking about getting money to go buy a car from somebody that don't even look like me and they're going to win. I'm not talking about jewelry and that kind of stuff. I'm serious, folks. We got to put something in place before the money even comes.
Well, right now, we have, Black people have absolutely zero channels to get any resources from government except this 1866 treaty. I'm going to say it again. Did you miss that? We got absolutely zero channel to be able to get any resources directly from the government except the 1866 treaty. Why? Because anything else has to be social based, and because you don't have an economy, and inside and lacking an economy, that means you have no industries and businesses. And the only thing the government can do, the government can justify putting money into small businesses and making loans or giving out insurance rebates, doing all kind of things for businesses. They give out contracts for paving the streets and stuff, or repairing the roads or ditches, or dealing with. All black folk can do is ask for something social in nature, and that's socialism. And this country is not going to go for it. All they do is the best thing you can get is that they might set up some kind of thing dealing with religions where all the churches can come up and they put a few dollars into your church. And or they put a few dollars into some civil rights organizations to go out and teach blacks about drug addiction or seatbelt laws or some silly stuff like this, symbolic stuff. You have no way of getting not one penny out of government because you don't own and control a damn thing.
Dr. Anderson, let's take a call. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. State your name and your question.
My name is Harry.
Okay.
And about 25 years ago, a group of us band together when they was developing, they had the plans and everything on the table for the airport in Palmdale.
Okay.
And
okay,
so
make it quick, Harry.
You got to make it quick, Harry. We got 3 calls and we only have 9 minutes. So go ahead and ask your question.
Our plan was to strategically, as the city of Lancaster and Palmdale was developing in bedroom communities around there. As you know, Lancaster has over 100,000 people now, and so
Harry,
does
you
Palmdale.
got to get to your question. We only have 9 minutes.
Our plan was to strategically landlock the developing areas so that they would have to come to us, black people. You could only buy in 2.5 acre parcels, but
Harry, you have to ask the question. You can't give a history of what you all was trying to do now.
Okay, we could not get a significant number of people together. We spent a fortune on seminars and taking people out to breakfast. We got a bus to take people up there to see the area and what they would be buying.
Okay, Harry, your point is that you could not get enough black people to come together to do that project. That's what you're saying, right?
Okay, he's gone. Next caller.
Yeah. No, but that's what he's saying, and he's saying the same thing. That happened when we were trying to get the fish farm built out here, when people tried to get credit unions. So, Harry, what you're reiterating is what we're talking about, what Dr. Anderson is talking about. We need to come together and stop so we can win.
Why that white man's eyes is still colder.
Right.
Next caller, please.
Would that be me?
That would be you.
Thank you very much. I'm calling from Washington, D.C., and I'm just coming in on the tail end of the conversation. I saw it said blacks and economics, and I wanted to know that you address any scenarios of how to effectively approach other organizations to work unitedly together with the funds that they have. Is there a step process that you know about that has worked, or Did you say anything to that?
Are you addressing that to me?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
first of all, when you say other organizations, what organizations more specific?
I'm talking about African American organizations.
Oh, okay.
Working together collectively. Some have funding, some don't. You're trying to network with them to bring your program in to make their program better. Do you know of any methods or language, or do you know anything that can make that happen better for someone trying to make that happen in their life?
Right. Well, there's several ways you can do it. First of all, you got to go back to your basic institutions. We have about 3 basic institutions in our race that survive this time. One is the family, the schools, and the churches. And half of those are almost dysfunctional now, but in all respect, they just about going down. They normally would be able to do to help you do that. The second thing is that you have to have a community where people would identify and feel free to practice groupism. See, what's happening now is that we don't have a culture. We have promoting our culture to teach us that we should work together, come together, and share and pool our resources. We have no organizations that's doing that. So if one organization is getting a little money from the government to go out and teach train people to work on drug addiction, another one getting money to work on teaching black kids to dance, you got no way of doing it because you don't have the mechanism in place. You have no basic institution to do it. We've been relying on charismatic black leaders, visible blacks, to be able to speak for us and be spokespersons. They are not going to do it, and they can't do it. We lack the cultural connectedness, the cohesiveness. We lack a community. Here we had a solid base community, like in the old days. We had a Harlem, for instance. It would be easy for us to do it. But right now, we're so de-aggregated, like our money is de-aggregated all over the United States. We're spread all over the country. I don't know how you can connect with all these people and persuade them, get them all in the same room and say, why don't you pool your resources? But that's why I wrote that book, Powernomics, and Chapter 3 addresses that for you.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
The other thing, Carla, what we're involved with, too, because we all want to link up with nonprofit organizations. That's what holds us back a lot, because you have to abide by certain rules. You cannot come together with an organization getting federal money and saying, I want to do something for black people. See, that's been the thing. Everybody have to be inclusive. So other people don't say that they're, not including us, but they exclude us, and they go for something to build their community. And we want to come up and talk about black and brown and black and yellow, and we are afraid to address the issue that deal with black folks. And there'll never be enough money in these nonprofit organizations, particularly now, because most of them set it up as a private business for themselves to pay their car note, their house. If you don't laugh, Carl, it's true.
I know that's true. I have to agree with you.
If you would check and see who they gave money to lately, you would be surprised.
We got 2 more callers.
All right, thank you very much.
Next caller, please. Caller. 310.
Hello?
310. Yes, that's you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, my name is Vicki, and I'm calling from Hawthorne, California.
Okay, go ahead, Vicki.
Hi, Dr. Anderson. First
Hi,
of all,
how are you?
I'd like to thank. I'm great. I'd like to thank you for everything that you do, and I had the pleasure of meeting you and kind of working with you and talking to you. I wanted to get your thoughts on what happened with the black farmers. I was really, really shocked to find out that they were including other groups like Native Americans and women in the settlement for black farmers. And I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about how that happened.
Let me talk on that, because I know about that, okay? The black farm did not include anybody. Once their fight was to get, because they had been discriminated by USDA, the Mexican, Hispanic ranchers came in, the white women came in. They had nothing to do with what we were doing. There was no inclusion. They rolled off of our backs just like everybody, every race ride on what we do. They went directly to the USDA and said, well, we were discriminated against too. You gave black farmers money, then we want our money. So there's no inclusion here. And right now it's on the table. They will start getting checks. I believe it's the Indian. They're supposed to start getting checks in August. Okay? So it's no inclusion. These are folks who decide if you're giving them money, we will discriminate. And they were not the one out in the field. They were not doing the farm, and they are getting their monies. So there's no correlation.
Right, and that's gone on throughout history. That's been going on ever since the 1860s. And a broader example of what Rosie is telling you, it happened in 1970. I have the dubious honor of being the person who wrote the first affirmative action plan in the entire United States in 1970, and I wrote it for the state of Florida that went all over the country when I was over education for the state. At that time, I was talking specifically about corrective action for what the country has historically done to black folk for 400 years. But as soon as the program came out, immediately there was a movement in the country to say, well, let's water down to make sure any benefits don't go in affirmative action don't go strictly to blacks. And two congressmen, a congressman from Virginia and a senator from Louisiana says, let's come up with something called Title IX. So you cannot give black folk anything without including white women. That's why Title IX came into existence. And then all of a sudden, the rest of them, they said, well, they had the Monahan memo. So let's take the focus off of black folk and put on women, minority, and children. So we bring in Hispanics and Arabs and Asians and midgets and humpbacks and anybody else to make sure that black folk get very little out of it. That way you maintain the status quo, to answer your question. Every time some benefits are designated for black folk, they're going to always water it down and split up, make sure everybody else is included, because black folk love to talk about equality. They don't understand it ain't about equality. It's about trying to get benefits to lift yourself up and be competitive. Don't worry about saving everybody else. Save your own selves first.
But know for sure that this was not any inclusion about black farmers reaching back and you need to give the other people some money. These people rolled off of the backs of what we had done. And they're walking through and they're going to get $50,000 each. And they were trying to water it down for the black farmers to just dibble up whatever was coming through 1.25 million. And the same thing that Dr. Anderson is talking about is what the black farmers have to do. Beg people for money to go into court so we can reap our rightful due. That's why I'm saying to black folks out there, listen, you all need to come out of your pocketbook and start supporting the Harvard Institute. It's not fair for one man to take his retirement and money that he can leave to his family to try to hold up a whole race. And the only somebody I know is going to do that is Dr. Anderson. So if we want something, we got to pay for it. So those who out there listening, will be bringing Dr. Anderson in town soon. And if you care about what's going to happen to yourself, like I said, one day your children are going to ask you what happened. You know?
Okay, let's see if we
Keith,
can.
I think we have something on the board.
Okay. We have a email from Anthony L. Banks, and the subject is it says, hello, Dr. Milligan and Dr. Anderson. Thank you for sharing your genius. In the 1960s, black people came together for the civil rights movement, despite oppressions, despite Willie Lynch syndrome, etc. What changed between then and now that is so much harder for black people to even get on the same page of economic survival? Peace and blessings, Anthony Banks.
Two things that happened. First of all was social integration. The second was globalization. The third was automation and technology. That's what's cleaning our tubes. Social integration means disintegration. That's what it means. It means anytime you take anything and you water it down and spread it out, you're gonna weaken it. You take and put water in the gasoline, you don't make the gasoline any stronger or powerful, you weaken it. We as black folk decided to divest ourselves of everything that was identifiably black, because of our culture, our leaders, our businesses, our schools, our education, our history, and everything, to socially integrate. What we said, social integration makes you a guest in what other people own and control. That's just the opposite. That's just the opposite of capitalism. You cannot.
Say that again, Dr. Anderson.
Social integration means it makes you a guest in what other people own and control. And I just told you that capitalism says that those who are going to compete and survive and prosper must own and control. And what we said in the social integration movement is that we don't want to own and control anything. We don't want our own schools. We don't want our own businesses. We don't want our cab companies and mattress companies and radio and movie theaters. What we want to do is be able to go sit in white restaurants, white hotels, or even go into white schools. We don't want to own and control anything. That is suicidal. And that's what happened to you. You lost every damn thing because you keep trying to socially integrate. Nobody else in this country is trying to socially integrate but black folk. You have never seen any Hispanics, Arabs, Asians, American Indians marching for social integration. Only people possessed with that illness is black folk.
Why we always want to show how equally that we can, the equality, that we have so much equality. I notice even here in California, many blacks I don't even want to care about patronizing their businesses when they hire all other races.
Right.
It doesn't make sense because you're still taking the money out of your community, and we feel like, well, I got to show people that I'm not discriminating. But I haven't gone to not one Latino business that I've seen black folks working. Now I'm sure there's a few, but I'm talking about what I have not seen.
Have you gone in
no,
Chinatown?
and they
Have you
don't
gone in
apologize
Chinatown,
for it.
Rosie? Rose, have you gone in Chinatown and seen a lot of blacks working in
No, I have not.
Chinese restaurants? Huh?
No.
Nope.
Have you seen them working in the Arab restaurants, Asian,
Nope.
North Korean? Then you should ask yourself, why? What's wrong with your people?
We don't even see them working in the Chinese restaurants in the black community. So
See what I'm saying? I'm saying we're stuck on stupid with Gorilla Glue.
I say that again. With Gorilla Glue.
That mean that they going, in the country they said if a turtle would bite you, that he would hold you until it thunders. So I think we've been bitten by a turtle.
Is there one more call on the line, Brother Jamal?
Hello.
Go ahead, give us your name. Go ahead, caller.
I don't think there's anybody there, Rosie.
No more calls. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, Dr. Anderson. Here's what I need to say. I need to see funds coming in because I want to see you all win that lawsuit. Because we're talking about free education. If we're talking about free medical, if anybody needs that today, it's African American. I'm telling you. Because if you're without jobs and there's more of our people without jobs, then you definitely don't have benefits. Because you don't have benefits from your job, you have nothing. And it's so critical. When you're put in a position of poverty, let me just share what happens to you. Even though you have a home that you've sacrificed and struggled for, and you're holding on for dear life so you can leave it to your children. But if you get 65 and you end up in a convalescent home, your red, white, and blue card will only pay for 100 days for you to be in a skilled nurse facility. After that, they're going to apply to the state for Medicare. And every dime that they pay for you while you're in that skilled nurse facility, whether you know it or not, they're going to take it from your house. And the average decent convalescent place here, Keith, is $7,000 to $9,000 a month. So you imagine your mother staying in the hospital for 2, 3, and 4 years because that happened.
Wow.
Your house is gone. She has nothing to leave you. Folks, listen up. We better be concerned. I know some of y'all are scared to have money because you said money is the root to all evil. But I get evil when I don't have any. If you want to see some evil, you let me not have any money. I can show you evil, okay?
Well, Rosie, I think you're right on the money, as I said, because right now I think we got a fantastic case to open the door and gateways for economic competitiveness for blacks in this country with our 1866 treaty lawsuits. But I have to confess outside, I have very, very little confidence that black folk will ever understand the difference between spending that money for what they need and spending that money for what they go out here and having fun messing around with. So I'm going to keep pursuing, doing the best I can, whatever limited resources I have for myself, coming from my own pockets and what I get from California. But other than that, I don't have that much confidence in black folks supporting anything that would be in their best interest. Because the civil rights organizations, the elected officials, the ministers, except Fred Price and a few, they don't give a damn really about what happens to black folks. They're out there for the own self-ego and interest.
But Dr.
But let me finish that point.
The church will turn this around in a second.
But look at California. But Rosie, Rose, look at California, where you are right now. You got some of the wealthiest blacks in the country in entertainment and athletics. Hasn't sent one penny to us in 20 years. You right there in California. Not one of them got any money.
They're not black, Dr. Anderson. They just in dark skin. They have melanin in their skin.
Now there you go.
Chocolate
That's the
covered
point.
Europeans. Huh?
But see, by the same token, blacks are going out and supporting them.
Right.
I mean,
we go to their movies, we buy their record. You're absolutely right. When we wake up and say, we won't buy a record, we won't support your movie, but we are afraid to take a stand while these people bragging about 11 cars in their driveway. Come on. And I hear blacks say, I saw so-and-so on TV, and you should see their house, man. They got 11 cars. What are you? Come on,
but see, that's what I'm saying. See, if you don't hold them accountable, why should they? All those blacks, you go to see their movies, you buy their records, you go to see all their football, basketball, tennis games. They don't spend a penny with you. If they want to be white, let them go and be white. But you don't let your money follow them into the white community.
Exactly.
You're right.
Got to cut bait.
You got to cut back. Let me tell you what the next show is going to be about. The next live show is Ascended Insights with Jamil Shabazz and Anka Phil. They come on at 11:30, and they are going to be talking about the illusion of wants and needs. So that's going to be a great show. So you really want to listen to that. We are coming up to 2 minutes to close. Dr. Anderson, we are looking at finding a venue to have you out here real soon. You still be able to come, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll come because I love. I guess I'm getting used to the pain, but I love black folk, and I love coming to California. And even
it's
though
hard to love them.
Yeah, I get sometimes I get so I really get down and almost get sick and tired of doing wrong, and they can't even do wrong right. And I keep saying, learn how to take care of yourself. Like as a pilot, I tell you, as a pilot, when the first thing you learn to do is tell your passengers on a plane that if we lose cabin pressure, your bass will fall from a panel over your seat. When the mask falls down in a crisis situation, put the mask on yourself first. Don't get up trying to put the mask on anybody beside you or getting up standing like black folk do and say, anybody back in the back need a mask? No, any minorities, poor folks, midgets, lesbians back there, y'all need masks. Put the mask on your own butt and sit down.
But Dr. Anderson, what we're going to do this time when you come, we're going to have a plan laid out. And those who come to see you, come prepared to work. Because it's not just going to be like you go to church. You go there and you enjoy it. You hear a good sermon. You go back, they still repossessing your car. Your kid's still sick. You still broke. You still don't have a job. We want people to walk out of this time with designated groups, at least 12 groups. We're going to break you up just like Jesus did the disciples. We're going to have 12 disciples. And we're going to have people in each different area to decide what we're going to do to change the plight for America. Medicine, teachers, we're working on 12 disciples. So we come prepared to leave and do something.
But Rosie, let me say this in conclusion. As I said, I'll bet you this. I'll bet you and Keith this. Now, the only two, as I've said, that's been supportive of us now for almost 20 years has been Fred Price's church and Frank Stewart's church, Zoe churches. Those two have been consistently supportive. Fred Price and Frank Stewart have been stayed with us, always sending money, helping us send a little money here and there that we deeply appreciate. But they also offer their facilities to help us. I'll bet you right now, you must have over 3,000 black churches in California. I'll bet you and Keith right now on air. I bet you don't get anybody else to support you or turn out their congregation other than those two.
I bet you I will. Put money on the table.
I'll treat you all to a lunch if you beat that. I'll bet you.
All right, Keith, you gotta help me.
Okay.
And I hate to take you all's money, but I'm gonna take it though for lunch.
I know. Well, Dr. Anderson, it's been so nice having you on the show. It's always so refreshing, and I'm waiting for those last secrets.
Okay, but as a matter of fact, I was up last night trying to finalize it. But you all take care, and I love all of you all, and I look forward to seeing you when I come out there. Okay? I got another show I got to go on at 2:00.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
All right, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.